Hey, Scott Fresener here with the T-shirt report, and this is show number 12 on May 19th, and with my good friend Richard Greaves. And Richard, you're looking real healthy. I'm not sure if it's the lighting or what, but you look like you've been outside in the sun a little bit doing some work.
It's raining outside, so it's literally almost pitch black, so I got some lights turned towards me. But I'm noticing that the dark hair in my beard makes me look like I'm frowning all the time.
Yes, yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't have that, but you have that. Some people get that, So we're going to kind of keep our report a little faster. We're going to try and do a little more focused things this time around. This will be mainly industry news, comments about things we've seen that's new, maybe some gossip, maybe some rumors, maybe some opinions. And you had commented, maybe, we had talked a couple shows ago, maybe even last show, about the Brown manufacturing Firefly. And we both had kind of commented, we wonder if they've sold any. Are there any of them out there? And maybe explain what the Firefly is. I think we know who has one now.
Firefly is a quartz tubes curing unit for T-shirts. It has individual belts, small belts, but what happens is the belt goes on with the shirt and it goes underneath a flash unit kind of a thing. But what's key about the new system is that they have sensors that can literally measure what the temperature of the shirt is and what's the temperature of the ink. And in fact, if they race and one gets there, one gets to the desired temperature before the other, they literally stop and let them catch up. So you don't overcure, or I don't want to say cure, I want to say overheat or underheat. And this is going to be a huge boon for anybody that's printing on those performance fabrics or the new polyester troublemaking things, which, in fact, I got something to talk about just after we talk about this. I think it's the most important change that's happened in textile screen printing for the last 20, maybe 30 years, especially in the curing world. I think it's going to take off. I'll bet you everybody will be following this, mark my words. So the Firefly, one thing that happened, my friend Jeff Proctor was at the DAX show in Chicago, and I've been telling him, you've got to go look. He's an ink rep for Lancer. And I told him, you've got to know about this because I think it's real important. And he knows the Brown people. I'm looking at the Dream Team site. I've also mentioned them because we saw those guys at the SGIA. They had the gigantic booth that just said the Dream Team. But I had to send somebody to the Dream Team, and I looked at a picture on the Dream Team site, and, it looks like there are two Brown curing units behind one of their numerous Avalanche 1000 Cornettes. So one of them, they don't look like they've got barcode readers, because every time you want to change the settings, you can do it with a barcode, and there's no TV, there's no barcodes, but there are the little panels on the side that are supposed to monitor the inside of the oven to somebody that wants to know what's going on inside.
Maybe they're beta. Maybe they're betas. We don't know, but it could be, because I looked at it too, and they weren't even the same color as the pictures I've seen from Brown, but it sure looked like it. I agree. We're going to show the picture right now, but it sure appears to be one.
Now, I also noticed that I don't know how long this has been around, but the electricity usage has always been something we'd be worried about, because quartz panels had sometimes been called on as an alternative to infrared panels when it comes to flash cure, because when they're off. They're not using any electricity. They come up to temperature super fast, heat the shirt, and then you shut them off. Mm-hmm. So it's a bzz, bzz. Who's that Avengers character that lifts up his glasses? I don't remember. But give him a blast of energy, and it's cured. But I saw a great thing on the browndigital.com site, and it had to do with they're mostly off all the time. It doesn't use as much electricity as we might be worried about.
That's good to
know. It's got a consumption usage program. And that's what this is. It's basically all software that's going to control the unit. So go to Brown Digital. I endorse them.
That's a good idea. And I think I should do that. You didn't go to Nashville, ISS.
I did not go to Nashville, but
I had a guy text me from the show. Are you here? It's some guy from Phoenix who was working the Workhorse booth and who owns Workhorse equipment. And I go, I'm here. I'm home. I'm in Scottsdale. I didn't know where he was at. I says, who is this? He goes, this is Joe. This is Joe from Goodfellas. Are you here? I go, where are you? He says, I'm in Nashville. So anyway, so we weren't there. You weren't there. But what did you hear about the show? I really haven't heard anything about it, frankly.
Well, I called people up as soon as the show was over. I called Alan Howe, and my friend Jeff Proctor called me. Jeff Proctor, did I say this already? He called and said, "Oh, I looked at the Firefly. I see what you mean." And he acknowledged he's very impressed. But Alan Howe, my good friend Alan Howe, who lives just up this, well, he lives up the street an hour from here, works for tech support in Pittsburgh. He went down and he told me two very specific things. He'd seen them at DAX, and he saw them again in Nashville. So it seemed like DAX was a much bigger show than I imagined. A lot of things seemed to be introduced at that particular show, whatever the date was. Right. So another reason to go to DAX if you're in that Chicago area or any of those Midwest shows that Scott puts on. Scott Ritter. Yeah. Not to be confused with you. So number one is that Augusta's come out with a different style of digital camouflage. They come out in lots of different colors, but they're now making fabric and printing it on roller printers so it's not sublimated. And this ties in with exactly what the problem that the Firefly is really going to attempt to solve, and that is the sublimation problems that happen when people don't have smart curing units. Too much, it's bad. Not enough, it's bad. So these are, I think he said that they were printed in the United States. My friend Alan had gotten them from a distributor called Bodek. I've never actually done business with them, but they came from Augusta. And if you go to Augusta Sportswear, it's very clear. Put in digital camo, and you'll see that. Looks like they've got 8 different colors. The picture that we're showing right now, I stolen but borrowed off of their website. Go to their website and browse that. It's going to be a lot safer for this style of camouflage.
It's big, and of course camo, as I'm from Arizona, and we do probably some hunting here, but in Bowling Green, Kentucky, when I come home in November, everyone's wearing camo. You can't go in it. Even girls have their camo suspenders and their camo panties, and you name it. Maybe they do the same thing in Detroit. I don't know, but I have never seen so much camo than in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Hey, you saw a new emulsion? You heard about a new emulsion from our buddies at Kiwa?
I popped up the screen. Took a second for it to go, but it's Style 1798 Digi Camo Wicking T-shirt. So it's a polyester shirt, but it's screen printed. It's not sublimated. I think that's the most important part that I should have mentioned before. Yeah. That it's a wicking T-shirt, so it's that 100% polyester wicking printed knit.
There you go.
At Augusta Sportswear. Just Google 1798 Digi Camo, and it'll take you right to it as the number one spot. Okay, back to our show.
Emulsion.
Oh. I'd heard a little bit about this, but now it's actually released. They've only made one batch so far. But Kiwo has come out with a new emulsion called multi-tex. So that's MULTI-TEX for textile. So why is this so important? Well, I called Dave Dennings and I asked him if what they say on the website is true, and that you have a pre-sensitized emulsion, meaning you don't add diazo to it, yet it has long life resistance to water-based inks. And he said, absolutely. No hardener. I can't stand hardener, and I hate people that just say, oh, if you don't expose it correctly, just add a little hardener. Hardener means that you're going to have much more trouble getting the stencil out of the mesh, and it probably might mean cutting out.
Razor blade.
It seems the razor blade is an expensive way to reclaim the frame. But it is a dual cure, but in this case, there I just popped again. The dual cure means that there are two sensitizers, but they're both photopolymers. There's a photoreactive resin that's added to the typical SPQ. It's fast, not super fast. And so what I'm thinking, and what I've always liked, is that I have always used water-based emulsions, but I always used the dual cures that were diazo sensitized. Now we have an emulsion that you could use if you sometimes print a little water-based, you sometimes print a little plastisol. It could be your one go-to emulsion for both of those brands. Now, as a caveat, look into my eyes, it's never going to be as good as a proper dual-cure diazo and photopolymer emulsion like Kiwo's Poly Plus S or Ulano's TLX or RLX. TLX would be my favorite. I apologize for my out-of-type pals, but I don't remember what would be their current best. Everybody has a best dual cure for resolution. Those are what you want. If you want the best halftones, you're still going to need that because an SPQ or a photopolymer stencil is a very narrow exposure range. You get right to the edge and you're either in the zone or you're not. A little too much and you've gone too much. Mm-hmm. It's because they're photopolymers, and when they cure like that. And if you want the best halftones, this wouldn't be it. But for most people, I think this is something you absolutely need to try. Multi-tex from Kiwo.
Now, you said they made a batch. They're not shipping, I'm assuming, or maybe they are shipping.
Well, they should be shipping, but they've just announced it. It's new stuff.
Right.
Get on the bandwagon. Call your Kiwo, your Yolano distributor, or your dealer, whoever it is that you'll get your Kiwo Yolano products from. Now, impressive. Dave Dennings told me he's the product manager for Kiwo. Or is he the president of Kiwo? I can't remember. His neighbors think that he's the president of Kiwo, but I think he's still just the product manager. What do you think,
Dave? We're sorry. We're sorry. I don't know. I don't know. We have to call Dave and say what's going on.
No, he told me a story that he met somebody else. Somebody came to work there or something like that, and they said, "Oh yes, our neighbors know you, and they think you're the owner of Kiwo."
Right.
So now he's all embarrassed, afraid that's it. He's in trouble.
How's his German?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I have to go back to the factory for punishment.
Yeah.
So, humor aside, when they're testing it in beta testing, they tested it with plastic charge, which I know you're familiar with, because it's got wicked benzoate, nasty plasticizers in it that if you're undercured a little bit, they just reach right in there and they harden that emulsion up whether you want to get it out of the mesh or not. Also, with the virus white ink, those two are the nastiest inks that I've ever printed in water-based. But they're very good, but it's because they're not pure water-based with little pictures of blue flowers and fish running through trickling streams.
They're biodegradable. You could drink
it. I can't wait. I have not tried the multi-tex from Kiwo. I'm getting some, and I'm going to test it for resolution, and I'm really looking forward to whatever Yolano comes out to try and match it.
Well, it'll be the same thing in a different container, right? Or what? I don't know if they. No, they don't do that, huh? No. Oh, that's good.
They're friends. But not friends.
That's interesting. All right, I'm about to get. I'm about to
get
some myself.
Friendly, but
yeah.
That's all. They keep their secrets. Believe you me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I've been in some of those meetings. They keep their secrets. To move on to a different subject, I'm going to be at the Printwear Show in Indianapolis, June 4th, and only June 4th. I'm going to drive down there early on the 3rd, stay in a hotel. Get to the show early, see as much as I possibly can. I'd love to interview quite a few people. I'll prowl the show, but then I've got to get home at 5 o'clock. As soon as the show's over, I am driving home unless beautiful girls in swimming outfits tell me that I have to take them to dinner or something like that.
Not at our shows. No, I shouldn't say that.
So anybody that wants to get together, I'll be at the Indianapolis show, so my phone number's on everything that I ever publish. So call me up and let's do something Thursday night for sure. I said Thursday night, sorry. Wednesday night, the 3rd, I'll be looking for something to do. If you want to get together, let's do something. Also, you've got a boot camp coming up. I saw that it was the 18th, and 18th through the 20th means I can't come.
Yeah, because you're on your summer sabbatical.
Summer sabbatical. Gina, my girlfriend, has to go to the tip of the thumb.
That's Michigan.
For vacation, yes.
What's at the tip of the thumb?
The tip of the thumb is Port Arthur. Port Austin, sorry, I said Port Arthur.
I thought she went to Florida with her family sometimes.
That's in the winter.
Florida, winter, Michigan. Okay, I got it now. All right. Yes, we have a boot camp coming up. We have a small group coming in, 2 classes. I'm going to be back in Bowling Green. What is it? I have 3 weeks to get to Bowling Green. I better hurry.
Better start packing now.
Yeah, that's the plan.
You can't fly this time, right?
No, I got to drive. And the only problem with this class in Bowling Green is Bowling Green is the center of the universe for car shows, I think, because of the Corvette factory there. And you mentioned Bowling Green. Everybody goes, oh, that's where the Corvette's from. But there's a car show every week, and there's a huge car event in town, and I can't get hotel rooms for my students. The Holiday Inn is booked, the Hyatt's booked, the Best Western's booked, or whatever. Yeah, it's hard. All of a sudden they go, oh, you know.
Are you saying that the Corvette Museum where the big sinkhole went in, it's fixed? Was that what you meant?
No,
just a car show.
Just a car show. Like usually they have a reunion, like the '56 Chevy reunion show, but the Corvette. There's always a Corvette event. No, they actually filled the hole in at the Corvette. They had the most tourists ever for the sinkhole, and there was a big debate locally: should they fill the hole or not? It's like a song: should we fill the hole or not? Da da. They filled the hole, and like people are going, well, why should I go to the Corvette Museum just to see Corvettes? I want to see the hole. So anyway, we have a class coming up, and June 18th to the 20th. Then we have one in August and one in November. So stick that in your calendar and come see us. You had commented on your buddy Rick at Mirror Image, the Ink Kitchen,
right.
making soufflés in his ink kitchen. So what's new with him?
Rick Roth and Tom Davenport run a blog site called The Ink Kitchen where they give free advice based on whatever they stumble onto. And Rick gets to travel a lot. He went to New Orleans and covered the Jazz Festival, and then he was in Nashville. He did the second Hoedown. I was at the one last year where they give out a shirt and collect for charities. It's sponsored by, he gets all of his friendly sponsors to pony up some money. And Sam Adams was a big sponsor this year. But you need to tune into the Ink Kitchen. They had coverage of Nashville. So that's another place you could go. If you miss the Nashville show, go to the Ink Kitchen, theinkkitchen.com. You should see our the website below. But they had an interesting thing that Rick spotted. On ABC News, there was a woman who is accusing Target of using her graphic on its T-shirt. So there's a couple of videos of a girl with a black shirt that it looks like an American flag on it, and it's just an interesting testimony of the little guy, or the little gal in this instance, but the little guy going up against Target, and it's a battle that I think we should all be paying attention to, because I believe we should give our support to this woman battling Target, because she's clearly got proof that she created this design, and here's where copyright should be our friend.
No, there's no resolution yet. This is a new story, so there's
it's a brand new story.
She's getting some ink by saying she's suing Target too, which is probably, good for her.
ABC News is the source for this.
Yeah, I saw it. I was talking to you earlier, commenting about shirt color, like camo, and it's interesting because I have done this week alone 3 separation jobs where the shirt color was tie-dye. And I haven't done a separation job for tie-dye in 6 months. But I've done some for camo, and so that's a testament still to what people want. But the tie-dye jobs I've done this week are all for car guys, all for cruise in here, cruise in there, all car stuff. And I just thought it was interesting that last year it was safety green, although I'm still doing that. Maybe this year the flavor of the month is going to be tie-dye. Well, actually, as I'm rambling, in Bowling Green, I print shirts for all of our friends have a softball team. And I wasn't that back there, but Michael printed them, and they're all tie-dye. Just come to think of it. They put a picture up. I'll have to post that. They put a picture of their softball team. You ever see a softball team in tie-dye shirts? I haven't. But anyway, it was just interesting that's the flavor of the month. The problem for me as a separator is you have to pretty much give them a full base. You just can't let the tie-dye wants to poke through where you've got grays and areas that you don't have a base. You got to give it almost a full base, so it makes it hard to separate. So that's the flavor of the month is tie-dye. So we'll see what the flavor of the month is next year. Now you brought tears to my eyes when you
moment of silence.
When you you sent a little thing that New Buffalo T-shirt factory was closing, and those people that are old in the business would be like us. Moment of silence. The newbies are going, who are those guys? But New Buffalo were the guys. In the day they were the guys doing all the football helmets with the stadium lights reflecting in the faces, and you could see every little thing on the faces on black shirts. In fact, John Weiss, his license plate was King of the Blacks or King of Black?
King of Black. King of Black.
King of Black. Not King of the Blacks because he's a white guy. That probably would have been not PC. But even I think it was an Impressions magazine that had King of Black as the on the cover years ago. We'll have to see if we can dig that up.
And he had a pin that he wore on his sports coat. But he for a while he certainly was the king of black, along with quite a few other people. But the real credit, what created dark printing as we learned to know it in the early 90s and the late 80s, came from Dave Gardner and Andy Wenner, who started creating SEPs out of New York City. I said New York City, out of New York, upper New York State, where they both lived. And they were doing work for Salem Sportswear. Mm-hmm. And there's another name that, brings back old memories, Salem Sportswear being the people that really kind of created a sports motif with caricatures of sports characters before there was merchandising in the NBA and the baseball league. So that takes us back into the 70s.
They were the first
that's how
guys.
They made their name.
And we joked that they had sold for 137 million. You'd read as you've been researching what we're going to talk about. I think New Buffalo sold for 7 million, which seems odd. But I remember reading somewhere where Salem had done like 100 million in sales. I mean, they were the guys. Mm-hmm. And then I get a little letter one day from a guy named Kyle Nagel, I guess was his name. Hey, Scott, I just want to let you know, I'm the guy from Salem Sportswear. I came to your class like in, 1979, and I bought a manual printer from you and worked out on my garage, and that's where Salem Sportswear started. I felt great when I got that letter. I thought, well, holy crap, who knew? Because I don't remember all my students, but anyway. But then we weren't sure if then the New Buffalo kind of was spawned from Salem, but you thought, if you said Dave Gardner and Andy kind of worked with Salem and moved on to New Buffalo or whatever, who knows? You probably know.
In the early days, I visited Salem a couple of times up in New Hampshire there. And I know that I met them individually, Dave Gardner and Andy Wenner. And Dave Gardner came to a couple of shows, but he was a reclusive fellow. I don't think that was just me, but he didn't like to talk on the phone. I remember that I wanted him to do a job once, and it took a while for me to get him on the phone. And I mean no disrespect.
No,
I'm just saying that he was not a showboater, and he was very quiet and soft-spoken. Mm-hmm. And when you'd say, "Well, are you thinking about this?" No, I don't want to do that. I don't do that. He had his way of doing it, and it turned out to be the master stroke.
Oh, he was the guy.
What did you wear?
Yeah.
Right.
Well.
So.
We used to get those shirts, and I'm not sure if you were, but we would, before we knew really how to do some of this stuff, we'd get those shirts and go, how the hell did they do that? And we'd get a loop out, and we'd be looking, and this was camera days. This was way, and then once we kind of figured out what they were doing, because it was more mechanical and just seeing the colors and pulling them out and doing masking, we used to teach it in class, but I mean, we'd have a stack of films like that, and you'd never know till you went to press really how it's going to work. You'd have an idea in your mind how it's going to work. And so then the computer came out and it kind of changed it. And I'll show you what I'm wearing.
Oh, Jack, from the Dark Shirt Kit.
So then I came out with a thing called Dark Shirt. I thought, oh my God, Willie Nelson. That's so great. We're like two brothers today. Here, let's stand up. We'll do this here. There we go. I came out with, because I was teaching how to do it in the computer, and I came out with the dark shirt printing kit. And I remember I'm selling my kit in the booth at one of the shows, and I look out, and there's a guy standing outside the booth. And it was John Weiss going, and he was just kind of shaking his head. And he was always friendly with me. He came by after the crowd left and says, yeah, how you doing? I said, well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm selling the kind of stuff that I learned from you, basically, looking at your shirts. But it is like a death, although they sold, to Gildan? Would you say?
They sold to Gildan about 3 or 4 years ago, and they finally closed the Clarence, New York operation, the original operation up in upstate New York near Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They've moved a couple of times over the last 20 years that John's been printing up there. And John goes back and forth to Honduras. I saw him at a trade show a while ago, and we chit-chatted, but I don't remember the last time I had actually seen him. In the early 90s, though, I would see him a lot. And one of the problems that I had is that you and I were teaching dark printing separations. And I toured all over Europe. I went to so many places because everybody wanted to learn how to do index-style separations. And I used to do a class. It was 6 different ways to separate for dark garments. And I never went to visit John at his factory because the people from Structure would say, when are you going to come up? You got to go up and see John in I never want to go to see him. One of the reasons I only visited Mr. Coudray once was that I never wanted anybody to think that I'd gotten an idea from John's shop and then I would be selling that, because I was making a good living teaching other people how to do separations. Never as good as what Dave Garner and Andy Winter were doing, but
well, in the beginning it took so long to do those, but then they were probably doing, I'm not sure how big their runs were of the football helmets, and we're going to show a picture you sent me of the Super Bowl ring that just sparkled, and we all went ooh and ah, but that would take days of camera shots and masking and cutting, and then of course the computer made it easier. But I always remembered many years ago, someone on the phone says, "Hey, New Buffalo T-shirt factory wants to be unlocked for fast films." I'm going, oh, really? Every 6 months or so, someone from New Buffalo would call and say, "Yeah, we need to be unlocked." Now, you and I both know that high-end separations is more than just an automated program. Automated programs get you to a point, but those guys, I'm sure, put their spin on it. So I'm not belittling what they were doing. They put their spin on it and probably spent another 6 hours tweaking and really doing the fine stuff. Of course, they ran they run alphas, or maybe they still have alphas there, so they could print 18, 20 colors. They could do. There's M&R's got a video online of New Buffalo Factory. Maybe I'll put it up showing an alpha. They can do whatever they want. We need 4 fleshes. We could do
several times. Several times, I know that New Buffalo people won the top speed loading. I'm pretty sure that it's a New Buffalo person that hit the 1800 mark in an hour. I remember a woman and a guy, and they were small, wiry characters. They didn't look, but they did show off things at printwear shows and at the SGI.
Yeah. So it's too bad. It's an era kind of, going elsewhere, going to Honduras, and.
Well, what was disappointing for me was that when I heard about it and I went to look, there is no New Buffalo website anymore. The site comes up empty, so it's just abandoned. The name is abandoned. Yeah. And so when I looked for images, I searched for 2 or 3 hours just looking for designs either from Gardner Graphics, Dave Gardner, or New Buffalo shirts, and it's sort of wiped off the face of the earth with the purchase by Gildan a few years ago.
Wow. I have some shirt samples of theirs that I show, but they're not here. They're in Bowling Green, but I maybe have to shoot them. But yeah, it was all, that's too bad.
The picture, I don't know if you've shown the picture or not yet, but the picture that I have, the only picture I have of John is a picture I took when we were in Holland, and we were working on an open house for Hypertech. He came at the behest of Don Newman, and that was one of those instances where we sort of taught the class next to each other, but he told his ways of doing separations, and I told my ways of doing separations, and he was holding up one of his shirts. In fact, the people in the picture are the Linka people, John Lynch and Ann King.
Oh, those guys are great printers. Yeah, they're great printers. Yeah, that's pretty good.
And that's from the 90s. Again, those are the heydays of when I knew John.
And John having hair and stuff, looking at the age and stuff, so it's interesting. All right, so rest in peace, New Buffalo T-shirt Factory. They were the pioneers, and times are moving on.
Right.
Speaking of, while we're talking about shirts that were from New Buffalo, your shirt is a digital print. Let's see it again. It's a digital print. Now, if that shirt had come out of New Buffalo years ago, which it could have, we would have gone, ooh, ah, look at the little whiskers on his face and all that. But that is, you and I were talking, that's probably been kind of the death of the magic of dark shirt printing. What'd you say? Control P, print.
All together now. Let's Control P, and out it comes.
And say print.
You need Photoshop skills. You don't need the 20 hours of separation skills that it used to take to do this sort of thing, just with cameras, no computers.
No. But if you had told any of us back then in the 90s and late 80s that one day we would be doing that kind of a print digitally, we would have thought you were smoking the wrong stuff. I mean, really, I don't think anybody ever thought. We dreamed it, but that's a good example of where digital really, really shines, I think.
This is a shirt that Jeff Baxter did in the earliest days of the, what is the M&R call there?
The IDOT.
iMage? IDOT.
Yeah, that was one of the first samples he did, I think, that he had.
And he took a picture of Willie Nelson. He took it out of a magazine, scanned it, and printed it.
Yeah, it's perfect for that.
And soft, looks good, and did take a minute and a half to print, though.
Yeah. See, I was always a fan when I was selling DTG of that print needs to be perfect. And when I saw Jeff doing that, I thought, Jeff, you picked the perfect print. People are going to go, look at the flesh tones, look at the detail. That's the perfect print to sell DTG machines. So anyway, I know you're an avid reader, though. So what's on your bookshelf today?
I got two things I want to tell you about today. One is an article in the April 2015 Entrepreneur magazine. You should be able to get the link, and the link will be in the show notes. But it's called "Don't Be Tone Deaf," and it's kind of a checklist. It's a diagnostic article about what you should pay attention to in the way you're marketing and presenting yourself. So everybody's got a web page, and everybody's got Twitter feeds and Facebook things. But what everybody needs to do now is just throwing stuff up at the wall and seeing whether it sticks. That's not any good anymore. Social media is maturing. And this is the first step I want people to take, is to find this article on the web. It's free. Download it and study it and improve on it. And the next step is a new book that's just come out. It's brand new and fresh from a man named Peter Friedman. Now, I learned about Peter Friedman when I read an article that he was referred to in when Steve Wozniak brought out his book, I Was. And what does that mean? It means that Peter Friedman is one of the original 1,000 people that worked at Apple in the earlier days when Steve Jobs was there the first time. He was working on networking before there was an internet. He was working on networking when it was just computers and it was a local network. And he has grown his knowledge after he left Apple, a little bit after Steve Jobs left. And I've been following a little bit because he has a website called Live World, L-I-V-E, World. So I'm Dead or Alive, and then Hello World, liveworld.com. He's been doing marketing for more than 20 years for some of the biggest companies in the world. And when I saw that he's coming out with a book, which he calls the CMO's Social Media Handbook, I bought it sight unseen. Then I went to the website to check up on it, and I see that he'll give you a copy of the book for free. All you have to do is download it. So there's a PDF. Now you have to give him your name and address, and then they send you a link, and you can download the preview copy of the book. And this gives an interesting idea of the way he thinks, in that it's not the old world thinking of old world broadcasters from the 60s. Think of Mad Men. And they're blasting you with a broadcast of this is what you must desire. We're telling you what you will like. Fins on the new Chevrolet, no fins on the Chevrolet in 52. So I totally believe that this is going to be the best book on social media. I won't get it until next week, so I'll be reporting more on this book later on. But I encourage everybody to go and sign up on Live World and pay attention to everything that Peter says. He is a social media genius, and the guy's been around for 30 years.
I'm going to check it out because I told you earlier, I think I'm weak in that area myself, and it's hard to keep up. And Google's changed now to where your website isn't ranked as high if you're not mobile friendly, and I think you got to keep on top of this stuff. I think it's real important. So I'm going to go, when we're done with this show, I'm going to go and pick that thing up. Hey, that's our show for today, right? We're done. It's short. We're probably under 25 minutes. And if you guys have any comments or suggestions, our email addresses are coming up here real quick. Send us some notes and watch for the next episode. We've enjoyed talking to you, Richard. It's always a pleasure. You know that. You're going to get a little rain today. I'm going to go out and
Me too.
So anyway, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.